Okay, so part two. I didn't realize how little time I had to record on this casting program, so I apologize for the multiple videos. But moving on, number 6. It's already in slope-intercept form, so we are going to just be able to go ahead and identify slope and y-intercept and graph them. Okay, so first, our slope is going to be the number attached to the x. So looking at this problem, I see that it's a -1. Remember, when slope is a whole number, we really need it to be a fraction so we can have our rise over run. So to make -1 a fraction, just like any other whole number, we just put a 1 under it. Then our b value is the number that is not attached to the x, so that would be our 1. When we graph, we begin at b, so we begin at 1, which is our y-intercept. So on the y-axis, we're going to put a point at 1. Then we move according to the slope. Okay, so we're going to move a -1 over a +1, so rise over run. Our rise is negative, so that means we're going to go down 1 and to the right 1. Then down 1 to the right 1. And you can do this as many times as you need. I like to do as many points as possible, especially when it's a little graph like this. So my line will be perfectly straight. Then you can get your handy dandy ID and use it as a straight edge and connect those points. Okay, I know this is going to be a solid line because it's greater than or equal to. I do have the equal to. Then the last part is shading. Since y is greater than, I'm going to shade above. And again, if you don't remember where above is, draw you a little stick figure walking up your or down your line, and your person's going to be walking above the line, right? You're above ground. So above the line is going to be where my little person is. So all of this would be shaded. So that means everything in this green shade is a solution, and everything on this line is a solution. Okay, number 7, again, it's in slope-intercept form for us. So all we have to do is identify our slope and y-intercept first. So our slope, our m, is what's attached to the x. So attached to our x is our 3. Again, slope is rise over run. So I need this to be over 1. Since 3 is a whole number, I make it a fraction by putting it over 1. Then b, our y-intercept, is going to be the number not attached to x, so 1. So when we're graphing, we begin at b. B is the y-intercept, so at y1, we're going to put a point. Then from there, we're going to move 3 over 1. So up 3 to the right 1. 1, 2, 3 to the right 1. If you want more than 2 points, you can move the opposite direction. Instead of going up 3, you can go down 3. And instead of going to the right 1, you can go to the left 1. So down 3 to the left 1 more time. And there's my line. So I'm going to draw a line going through all my points. Now, excuse me, let me take that off. It's not going to be a solid line, right? Because this is just less than. So I think I can do dash on here. Yep, here we go. Dashed line. Arrows at the end. There we go. So here's my dashed line. Next, we want to shade. So we're talking about okay, that's fine. We're talking about, do we shade above this line or below this line? So y is less than 3x plus 1. So less than means below. So I'm going to shade everything below this line. Okay, so that means anything in this shaded area is a solution, just not the points on the line or above the line. So that's nice. Those were all in y equals for us, y by itself. 8 and 9 are not. we have to get the y by itself first on number 8 and number 9. We've been doing a lot of this lately. So to get this y by itself, we need to move our x. So we do that by subtracting. Okay, so when we subtract the x over here, it eliminates and we just have our y. We still have greater than or equal to. Then negative 3 minus x, what do we get here? I have a lot of students who want to tell me that would be a negative 2. But remember, 3 has an x, or 3 does not have an x, so we can't subtract an x from it. So I'm going to do negative 3 minus x. Just bring all of those down. So now we have our equation, and we can identify m and b. So in this inequality, our m is the number attached to this x. Well, I don't see a number right here. When you don't see a number in front of your x, there's really a 1. So there's really a negative 1 in front of this x. So my slope is going to be negative 1. I need it to be a fraction, so I put it over 1. You're right. Then our b value is the number that doesn't have an x attached to it. In this case, it would be our negative 3. So when I go to graph it, I begin at b. So I begin on my y-axis at negative 3. So that would be here. From there, I'm going to move negative 1 over 1. So negative 1 means down 1 to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. Okay, you can also go up and to the left. It's the same thing. You're going to create the same line. As many points as you'd like. And then we're going to graph. So before I graph that line, I need to determine, am I going to have a solid or a dashed line? So right here, greater than or equal to tells me I'm going to have a solid line. So I can go ahead and choose that solid line. And let's make it purple to match. And there's our solid line. Okay, the last part we have to do is shade. So since our inequality is greater than or equal to, I'm going to shade everything above the line. Again, if you need to, draw your stick figure. But here is above the line. Sorry, my scribble scrabble. It's hard to do this with the mouse. Okay, so everything in this shade is a solution and everything on this line. Okay, at this time, I want you to go ahead and pause the video and try 9 on your own. Get the y by itself, find your slope, find your y-intercept, and graph. All right, let's see how you did. So to get the y by itself, we would have to add our 2x to both sides. So they would cancel on the left, so I would have 3y is greater than 6 plus 2x. Then I would need to divide by 3 to get the 3 off of the y. When we divide everything. So I would end up with y is greater than 6 divided by 3 is a 2. Plus 3 doesn't go into 2 evenly, nor does it reduce. So I'm just going to leave it 2 over 3x. So my m value, my slope, is a 2 over 3. So it's already a fraction, so I don't have to worry about that. My b value is a 2. So I'm going to begin at b, so I begin at 2. Then I move with my slope, so up 2 to the right 3, or down 2 and to the left 3. Then I'm going to connect my line with a dashed line because it's less than or equal to.